Hello and welcome to the Kiss by Fire Not a live stream for the finale
The
of
finale.
HOTD finale. I am Beth, and with me is, as always,
StefLyoness.
This is going to be our last this format live stream. When we hop back to our regular episodes, we're gonna go back to the shadows, link back to the shadows for a little while.
Aye.
But
I'm sick of seeing my face.
I know, I'm like, yeah, I'm very happy to not do the live streams for a little while. With that said, I have a live stream on Sunday, but the date on that moved, by the way. It'll be on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I thought it was Saturday.
It was supposed to be, yes, it's moved. But the public announcement hasn't come out yet either way, so it'll come out soon, I'm sure. I'm rambling, it's the very beginning of the episode. Hello. We are the Kiss by Fire podcast. If you are enjoying this content and just finding us here, feel free to find us. We are on Patreon. We are wherever you can find your
podcasts.
Podcast
That's
content.
The word.
Thank you. That's the word. Podcast content. We will be picking up again. We will be dropping an episode probably in the coming weeks. Our episode wrapping up the chapter with the fate of Irea Targaryen that we recorded with the wonderful Sanrixian. And we'll start recording again in September, probably. Hey,
for the next, September or something.
Next stuff.
I'm gonna have a little bit of a break first.
Yeah, we need a little bit.
Very
of a break.
intense doing weekly HOTD analysis.
Yes,
having to watch episodes many thousands of times and or Zoom in.
Zoom, all the things. Record thoughts. Yes, and avoid Twitter to not be like spoiled by thoughts of other people.
We were just talking about that, weren't we? Just
we were.
Like I find it very overwhelming sometimes, just because everyone's like, I think this, I think this, I think this, I think this, and I'm like, I just need to go away and think about things.
I need to have my own thoughts right now.
Or just, I don't know. I'm just always like, I'll watch a thing and then I'll just go quietly sit. This is what I do.
Process
it, and then eventually I'll go onto Twitter and see what other people think, or other places, platforms, because it is always fun to have chats.
Oh yeah, it is.
But
fun. I love our, like, if people are messaging us with chats, then I'm down for great. That. But but all of the public, there's so many people talking about this stuff that I want to get sucked into it all right away.
Before we begin, I'm just going to apologize in advance for the background noises. In his infinite wisdom, my partner decided to put the washing machine on before we recorded, and I have the loudest washing machine in the known world. So it's doing its final cycle, so it does sound like it's about to take off.
It's a rocket launcher.
It really is, and actually it like bangs against the cupboard next to it and occasionally knocks jars and stuff out of it. So because I'm British and therefore we get our washing machines are put in our kitchens, which I hate.
Oh, fascinating. We have like a whole separate room for it.
And in my last house, that's what we had. We had a little utility room and it was amazing. But pretty much in the UK, everyone has their washing machine in their kitchen, which to me is a weird place because that's where you prepare food and stuff. And then you also have your wet clothes around, and it's just weird with dirty laundry.
I feel like I do recall that from Peppa Pig, from my children were Peppa Pig watchers.
Yes, indeed. So Peppa Pig had it accurate. So it's there. I can feel it shaking through the floor. And also the other thing that he's decided to do is he's baking some bread, which is very nice.
Lovely.
But it does mean I can also hear the dough hook going around.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Your stand
mixer. There's two very the stand mixers going around. So there's two very noisy noises happening next door. Plus my kids are here because it's still the holidays.
Yes, mine too. Mine too. Mine are. I'm downstairs. I'm in the cave today, and the kids are upstairs, which means you'll probably hear Thunking or Loki's my youngest. She's 7, but she's been playing Bluey very, very loud. So hear some Bluey life lessons.
I love that show. It's great. My kids will just scream. They just like to be they're just very noisy.
Mine will yell at each other. It'll happen. Anyway. HOTD. Back onto that. So after all that rambling, do give this video a like if you like it, and do subscribe so you can see if we do release some new content.
I think one of the plans we've talked about is putting something on YouTube, but it just won't have our faces on it. It'll be
like
a screen, our
art.
little logo. Yeah. Our art.
Our
I
art.
like the way you said that. Our art. So that it will continue to arrive at your door in different forms. And that's hopefully the plan for how we continue with releasing things. But we're gonna have a little holiday first. And then come back to you later on. Like and subscribe,
follow us on the podcast places, and then also follow us on Twitter, because you'll get updates there too.
Yes. And if you want extra content, come see us on Patreon. For as little as $5 American a month, you get lots of extra things, loads of extras, shout outs and swag, and all kinds of things that I can't think of right now. Because stickers, depending on your tier, stickers, t-shirts, shout outs, etc. I'm still terrible. I've yet to send out some stickers and notes. I have like a notepad but life blew up on me. But I promise they are coming. Like winter, your stickers are coming. Yes, indeed.
Among other things. Okay, so Hot D, speaking of coming, Hot D, what did you think of it?
One of my main points, so I tend to think about three kind of things. I like to think about sort of three things I'm thinking of each episode, and my third one was called what I've entitled They All Have Titles. Okay, and the titles of mine are Visions and Prophecy. Number 2 is Rhaenyra Daenerys or Rhaenyra, and then my final one is General Feels, and that is not an army officer. General Feels.
How I Met Your Mother. Did you see that?
No, I didn't watch that show. It just was not my thing. I just couldn't.
There's a joke between Ted and Robin. Anytime someone said like General Feels or whatever, they would salute.
Oh, okay.
Or like General, General something or whatever.
General Feels. Well, my General Feels was overall, I actually really enjoyed the episode. I didn't think it was a perfect season, but actually it was great. And it wasn't even a perfect episode, but perfect, you can't aim for perfect. That just does not exist. You can't please everybody with everything you're going to do. But I actually enjoyed a lot of this. I think the main problems with the season in general were that I think I put this out on Twitter just the other day. I think it can be explained away by two things. One is the actual source material is very sparse. The book is sparse in detail, and you can have like 1 to 2 pages that describe huge amounts of battle, because there's just not just battle, but things going on. You'll have like a page that's like, and then this battle happened, and then these things happened, and blah blah blah. So they've got a lot to like flesh out with not very much information in order to make that happen. They've kind of got to fill in the gaps. And so you might have like, so I was thinking like Daemon goes to Harrenhal, and this is an overall in the season kind of feeling, but Daemon goes to Harrenhal, and it doesn't really say very much. He's just gathering a Riverlands army while dragonseers are happening, while other things are going on, while loads of other things. So there's no detail. So I was thinking about like what happens in the books, and I realized like there is very little detail. So they're having to fill it in with like nothing. And then, but I think the other biggest issue that explains away dialogue, pacing, any of these little issues that we have, that we've all brought up, is because very late in the game, I'm pretty sure it was late in the game, they'd already written most of it, and then HBO said cut down from 10 to 8, and then a writer's strike happened.
I was gonna say, and then the writer's strike happened.
Yeah, so they couldn't even like fix it. And so a lot of the things, like as somebody who writes things and edits things, I can see where their issues have come, or where they've maybe had to go, right, we're going to have to cut this down to 1 scene, or we're going to have to cut this. Like, to me, the stupidest thing in the whole of the episode that I'm just like, what was Rhaena wandering in the Vale? And it took me out of it. I was like, why is no one searching for her? What is she? Why are we just getting a shot of her? Like, has she really literally gone so many days that she's like gasping for water in a river?
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, I wonder if there were more scenes where they showed more information, and they just were like, we're just gonna have like 3 short scenes of Rhaena, because it's so short. Like, the scenes in the Vale
one of my
was so
notes
short, and you think, what? Like, they must have had to cut.
One of my notes is that it should have been 1 or 2 scenes, the Rhaena stuff. It really wasn't necessary for it to even be so many, because it was
lots of short blasts.
Right,
I reckon
of all the same thing.
It was all the same thing. So I think their hands were tied, and they had to go, right, what is the main thing we need people to know out of this? And I'm not entirely necessarily sure they made all the right decisions of what to keep and what to cut and in what order, because like episode 5, for example, was a bit like, huh?
Was that the one that I said didn't even need to
be there? So I think when you don't, if they'd had lots of time, they probably could have put it together better. But I think the added problem of there being a writer's strike on top of it, I think, means that they've had to work really fast, and it's maybe, I mean, it's always a difficult second album, isn't it? You know, like someone's releasing it. I think they've not had the time to sculpt what they wanted to sculpt when someone said, sorry, you're gonna have to cut this down. And I just think they didn't quite. But for me, the weakest part of the episode was Rhaena. But the rest of it, generally speaking, I really, really enjoyed it. And I know some people were like, I really want a battle. Why didn't we lead up to anything? And actually, I was thinking again, because lots of people are like comparing it to OG Game of Thrones, and are like, you know, we want it to be spectacle like that. And actually, I was like, the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, one, they couldn't really afford to do any battles. There was supposed to be 2. There's supposed to be a battle of the Green Fork with Tyrion, and they just basically had him knocked out at the beginning because they couldn't afford to do a battle.
So they made it thematically interesting. So
yes, it was exactly. And then the only battle we get one in season 2, and that's the Battle of the Blackwater,
and that was huge.
So like for like, there's only been one battle, and that was Battle of Rook's Rest. It's the same number of battle scenes.
So for me, it's not necessarily the missing battles that's the problem. So I'm just responding to people who are complaining that there's not enough big spectacle and battles. They're like, I was waiting for a battle. I'm waiting for a battle. Why aren't there more battles? I suppose it's not my feelings. I'm just seeing a lot of it, people complaining that there wasn't a big battle scene that they were waiting for, and it's kind of like, and then they're complaining by comparing it to Game of Thrones, and you're like, but that's not how it worked in Game of Thrones. And actually, we only got more battle scenes in Game of Thrones later on, when they basically like substituted plot and character and dialogue for spectacle, and then people were complaining and going, where's the dialogue? Why is Jon Snow only saying one thing? So I don't know, I'm not sure people know what they really want from it. It's like less dialogue, no, more dialogue, more battle scenes, no, not battle scenes. Anyway, sorry, you go ahead. But Game of Thrones had not necessarily big battles, but big important moments of movement in the season. So you have Ned Stark's death in the second last episode of season 1. So your major character that you followed all the way through has died. What was there was a big one, sort of penultimate, season 2. Oh, I can't remember.
Of Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Well, that was the Battle of the Blackwater.
Okay,
they always,
so
episode 9 was always like
the battle.
A big battle.
In my brain, I thought Blackwater happened earlier in the season. But either way. No. So it's not, in my opinion, and I think every season sort of did it. There was like season 4 or something that had a weird finale. But Game of Thrones had the ability to put these major plot motions in earlier episodes. And I don't feel like HOTD has given us major plot movements. And again, like, I'll argue myself a little bit, because the Dragon Seeds are a major plot movement. My problem with the Dragon Seeds is that they stretched it out over 3 episodes when it just needed to be 1. I didn't necessarily need more battles. I just needed less redundancy. And so the Rhaena scene, the drawing out the dragon seeds, things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I really struggled with, was just not having. There was, I mean, what major thing happened this season? The dragon seeds and Rhaenys falling, but otherwise there was no other major
blood and
plot
cheese,
motion.
blood and cheese as
Blood
well.
and cheese, yeah.
I guess. And we've had the fish
and
riot.
But I think that's what. Do you remember earlier when we were talking about this?
Well? With the fish riots and
I won't call that big.
No, but the Alicent got attacked and a man's hand got chopped off.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that. Didn't move the plot anywhere. Not yet. It does. It's a seed dropped for like 2 seasons down the line. But my point is just like, I don't know. It just.
But that's I guess that's what I mean by it's not. I think if they'd had more time, if they had, I genuinely think if they hadn't had it cut at the way that it was cut, because it was very late in the day, they'd already written most of it, and then they said, you have to get rid of 2 episodes. And I think you're right that there wasn't that. I think they didn't have very much time to sit down and go, right, well, what needs to be in and what are the major hit points. And I think it was just lost there.
I think it, Steph, like this is a multi-million-dollar show. I didn't have time to make this right out and make sense. Doesn't land for me. And I'm not trying to be like a downer person on the season. I just like all the way through this, we've talked like next episode has to be a big one. They have to do more with, and they don't. And it's all just like, oh, next time, ooh, next time, ooh, next time, and then next time never came, and now we have to wait 2 years for next time.
I mean, it's the ultimate edging. It like is the ultimate edging. It's the ultimate like I'm waiting for something.
I mean, Condell has said that all of season 3 will be war. So it will be a big budget season. But I know a lot of people who weren't book readers who have been like, I'm not in this anymore. And so is the budget even going to be there to get to the 4th season? Because they've sort of blown season 2.
I don't know if they blew it. I think there is a lot to really enjoy. I think it comes down to source material as well, because what made the early seasons of Game of Thrones so good was basically that they just had George's writing. Yeah, they had the dialogue. They didn't actually have to do any fucking writing, pardon my French. I swear a lot less on the live streams than I do on not on live streams. I always feel kind of bad, like people are seeing my face swearing as well. But yeah, they didn't even have to do any writing really, if you think about it, in the first few seasons, because they had all the dialogue, they had all the plot. They just had to adapt it and put it in a screenplay. They made a few minor changes that I'm still a bit like, why? You know, why is it that Kat is saying that Ned has to go to like whatever? Because it's her who says he has to go to King's Landing, not him. Or the other way around. They swapped that anyway. But you know, they didn't do many changes. They moved the Red Wedding a bit earlier, but they still had it. They knew exactly what they needed to say. Whereas in this one, you have to flesh out like the whole of the first season. It's basically like a page in the book. Viserys was this kind of king, and blah blah blah, and he named it. And like, and somehow they made 10 episodes out of a basically.
Well, I think they used the first half for like the young Rhaenyra, young Alicent, and then they used later for the second, because it's a really long
I know. I'm just saying, it's just like Viserys as a king gets very little mention.
He does,
and he was
his
so major. And maybe the thing that we're missing is blooming Paddy Considine, because
I know. It's like he was some glue that we didn't. I mean, we all knew he was brilliant, but we didn't know that he was like the glue that made the show progress.
Definitely. Oh God. I mean, I knew I was going to miss him, but I think I don't know, I'm quite forgiving of it because I feel for them that they have got source material, but it's very different. And it's
like, if you have these opportunities for creative liberty, use them well. And that was something that we, and like, once bit, twice shy, like we had, D&D take their own creative liberty, and it didn't land. And I'm kind of feeling like some of this didn't necessarily land either. This episode that we're talking about, I know we're really going into the season as a whole, but this particular episode we're talking about was a great episode. if it wasn't the finale.
Yeah, I understand why people are like, it's not a finale. I feel, but I think in a way they knew it wasn't a finale. It's like they had to basically take episodes 9 and 10 and put them next season.
Well, they could have just dropped episode 5 and not a lot would have changed, and they could have fit in the gullet. I don't know.
They
again,
needed to speak to
we've
you.
talked about the filler in the season half all the way through this, and
although I am quite pleased that we get a bit more of Jace. Although he annoyed me. He's annoying me at the moment. He's just he's like, I'm not pouting. You are literally pouting.
Do you know what he reminded me of? Did you listen to early Devil's Fingers?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they covered Game of Thrones and Matt would go, I'm a bastard over Jon Snow? When he was doing that, all I could hear was Matt going, I'm a bastard. Oh my God.
That's so true.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He is definitely Jon Snow vibes for sure.
I know. We normally do it kind of locational wise. Do you want to talk about some locations before we move on to another?
Do you want to
start? We've talked about general feels, but
yeah. Do you want to? Can we start in Essos? Do you want to just start there because it's sort of like off the beaten track there?
I enjoyed it.
You liked it. I did not.
I was like, whatever. Pirates of the Caribbean. I could see. I've written in my notes that it's like a Marmite thing. Do you have Marmite where you are?
Marmite is a food, isn't it? An Australian food.
It does originate from Australia. I think they mainly call it Vegemite though.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, in Marmite, it's a food thing. It's something you might spread on toast. It's made from like nutritional yeast.
I've heard it's very derisive, like either you love it or you hate it.
The whole concept is either you love it or you hate it. Okay, that's their whole advertising.
So
thing.
For us, I am Canadian on the side version of that. Just for the record, is Swiss Chalet sauce.
What? Who?
If you ever come to Canada, I will take you to Swiss Chalet, and you can tell me if you love or hate the Swiss Chalet sauce, the chalet sauce.
I'm gonna just do something because it's been raining this morning, and now the sun is out, and it is literally burning your eyes. Me. Okay. No, it's not in my eyes. It is just so friggin' hot in my. I'm just gonna open the window. I've also got a very stiff window. It's very stiff.
Okay, I'll try and talk about my feelings.
You talk about your feelings while I open the window. Okay. Jeebus, it's hot.
My feelings about the stuff in Essos. I don't even know where they were, which is terrible. I was like, where in Essos are they? Can you hear her? She's so funny. She did it. We didn't even know where they were, but I was just really confused by it all. Again, similar to the Reyna stuff, I didn't really feel like it needed to be more than 1 or 2 shots. I don't think it needed to be drawn out as much as it was. So it wasn't bad to see it and what was happening over there. And I liked the shout outs with the green or the blue beards and then the white haired people to look like people from Lys or people from like Dario or the styles over there. That was nice to see because Thrones avoided that and didn't do that. But I just felt like 1 or 2 scenes just to know that was happening was plenty. We didn't need a lot more than that.
No, I still enjoed it.
Yeah, I was like, my big thing is I get really bad with secondhand embarrassment, and Tyland, his singing and the mud thing and just him not getting the culture. I was like, oh, I'm cringing and I can't take it, and I didn't enjoy it at all.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of everything.
No, I don't.
That's basically British humor in every single way. I didn't mind it. I quite liked the change of scene. I enjoyed seeing more of Essos. You're probably right that maybe we didn't need quite as much. Because when I was rewatching it,
my wives. I'm like, why though?
I thought Abigail Thorne was great though.
Listen, I loved that actor. I loved the performance. I loved the character. All of that was great. I still don't think it needed that many scenes.
I very much enjoyed Tyland Lannister. Like, how many wives do you have?
Yeah, that was funny. But also, like, he's not great. Why do you want him to fuck your wives? Is it to collect child support later? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. But I think that
I did like that he was called Tywin in that first.
Yes, the first
that was a good little.
I like that. I was like, ooh, Tywin.
Yeah.
I think I feel like it was a little nod to book readers, because there is the captain's daughter, isn't there? I'm sure that there's somebody is it the Happy Port in Bravos who has a daughter called Lana who looks basically very Lannistery, and there's a theory that Geryon Lannister went there and is actually the father of this person, and I'm sure she sings the captain's daughter. Like, it's just vague information in my head. I quite like that, and I enjoyed a song. We haven't had very many songs.
No, but it was just him singing. It was so awkward, and
the captain's daughter. But I liked it. I enjoyed the embarrassment of it.
No,
I wanted more embarrassment of Tyland.
No, I can't. It actually makes my tummy hurt. It does, like, physically. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So, like, I couldn't watch The Office because something about it.
I was gonna say
the American Office. I've never watched the British one. But
oh my god, you would never cope with the British Office because it's so awkward. It is like
I can't.
You have to be behind
I can't do
sofa cushion. That's how we do most humor.
There's like, for me, if awkwardness is shown as like endearing, I can handle it. Like, Helena's awkward, but she's endearing, and I like that. But when you're trying to poke fun of it, I can't. I don't do it well. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I didn't mind it. I've just decided to just like chill about it. Like, fine. Yeah. Did I love everything of it? No, but I enjoyed it anyway. And Tyland asking for a bath and a flagon of wine, I was just like, yeah, we've all been there, Tyland.
Yes. The most relatable line this entire season.
Yeah.
That and
actually that and Maylies needs to gorge and rest. And I'm like, yes.
There seems to be a theme here. Bath and wine, gorge and rest. Steph needs a holiday. Yeah.
Basically, yes. I really do need a holiday right now. I need to gorge and rest and have a flagon of wine in the bath.
My favorite was in when Adam claims to smoke, and she's like, your knees bend quickly. I'm like,
filthy.
I am.
You're the
terrible.
One.
I'm terrible. Yeah, so that's Essos. Where do you want to go next?
I don't know. I mean, because in the show we get a brief shot of Sharp Point at that moment, basically, after we first sort of meet them. Some people are like, why didn't we see him burning Sharp Point? And I'm like, did we have to?
No.
We hear they're screaming. That's enough.
I think
like we literally hear people screaming and wailing. That's awful.
In horror. And I'm like, maybe people are just that desperate for like a battle or an action sequence. But we didn't need to see Sharp Point. They didn't need to blow budget on.
People don't even know what Sharp Point is.
I didn't even know where it was.
It's what's on Massey's hook. It's it's basically the first place that Aemond will have seen after coming back.
Yeah,
because it like pokes out,
and it's obviously black territory. But yeah, I didn't. It was, and I think that's the whole point, is that we didn't even need to see it because it was just so stupid and reckless. And Aemond is obviously belittled for it. all the way through. Aemond in this episode is super interesting. I want to talk about him more, but I want to talk about Daemon's dream sequence before we talk about
that is my first point, is prophecy and vision. That's my number one thing, is because I mean, can we just mention before we get to that Alfred Broom hearing traitor, I got goosebumps. I literally nearly fell out of my seat. I was like, what? Because that's what I call him. He's a traitor twat.
They got you to do the voiceover, didn't they?
They did. Traitor.
Yes, they took it right from the podcast.
They heard me from the podcast. They're like, yeah, we want you just to do that quick voiceover there, because he's terrible. And also him, when Daemon finally declares for Rhaenyra, there's a shot of Alfred Broom pushing through and running away. Do you see it? He literally pushes through people. He's like, I've got to get away. He's like, Mum's gonna be in trouble. I'm in trouble with Mum because I tried to betray her. Yeah. And he legs it, and I loved it.
Well, it explains why he turns Cloak to Aegon too, though, because he's afraid of what Rhaenyra will do to him for trying to convince Daemon to act against him. Against her.
Possibly. I do think Daemon is going to tell Rhaenyra that Broom is not for her, and there's going to be beef about that, and that's why she doesn't leave him as Castellan, however you say that word, of Dragonstone, and he's going to be put in his place basically, and is going to be happy to turn Cloak.
Yeah.
But that also meets up with Aegon's fate, but we'll talk about Aegon later on, I guess. You want to talk about visions and prophecies and what Damon saw. We saw a green man. That also made me nearly fall off my chair.
I know,
like,
that
green
was
man, green man, green man. I was watching with my partner and he like missed it. I was like, did you see that guy? And he was like, no, what? And I was like, are you blind?
right.
Go back and rewind.
Yeah.
The guy with antlers walking past. You silly person.
Yeah, I was surprised to see like the antler man or whatever there.
I loved it. I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying the fact that we're getting a show that embraces the magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice. I think
I
it's
agree.
Dan and Dave didn't want it because they wanted to appeal to a wider audience of people. They were like, we'll have the dragons, little bit of prophecy, but we want to take it down to a minimum. And we're going to get rid of dreams, and we're going to get rid of most of the children forest, Ghost of High Heart, Lady Stoneheart, all of that. And I'm really enjoying that they're like, no, we're embracing that. This is the wider world. And just seeing that antlered green man just made me very happy.
Yeah, it was interesting. I liked it. I liked the sequence with Damon. I think a lot of people read way more into it than I did.
Which
like
one?
his
the sequence of visions.
Yeah.
I mean, it was exciting because you see Bloodraven. And proper Bloodraven with the
Proper
birthmark.
Yeah.
And,
you know what I wondered, and this is sort of it's not off topic a little bit, maybe streaming into the future too much, but I wondered if we saw this Bloodraven and maybe Game of Thrones canon is that somebody replaced him instead of it being the Bloodraven that the book continues with.
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure Game of Thrones
thought it through. I think they just didn't want to do they didn't want to do what House of the Dragon is doing. They didn't want to do this much backstory, that world building, because they'd already done a lot and they didn't know how to do the rest of it.
It does make me think, one of my questions was in my notes, and generally speaking, is which greenseer do we think whispered to Alfred Broom? Who said traitor? Was that Bloodraven from the future looking back? Was it Bran? Was it the child of the forest? Whose voice was that? Because it makes me think of Theon in the Godswood in A Dance with Dragons, when he hears essentially Bran's voice calling out to Theon, like, and Osha talks about the voice of the old gods on the wind. Listen, child, listen. That's the sounds on the wind and the voices you hear. That's the old gods speaking.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about Harrenhal. The old gods are speaking there for sure.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It'll make you bark at the moon.
Yeah.
I like that line.
Make you bark at the moon. It was good. That whole Bloodraven, to me, them showing Bloodraven was great. I think it was good promo for Duncan Egg. Who's that guy? And then you're gonna meet him soon in Duncan Egg.
Guy? Yeah. But we got the vision of like dragons' death, the death of dragons.
The dragon pit, it looked like to me.
I thought it was the dragon pit as well.
The dragon pit.
And then
that ultimately is the end of the Targaryen power after the dragon pit. The people realize that these dragons are they can kill them.
Yeah.
But
then seeing the White Walkers.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Excited. People are complaining about that too. This is why I've had to like bow out from Twitter, because a lot of people have been piling on going, these White Walkers look shit. And I'm like, it's like it's not the Night King. It's not the Night King. And also I'm wondering, I have a sort of theory that HOTD is sort of distancing itself from Game of Thrones canon. Like, I know that there's show canon, but I feel like there's now actually book canon, Game of Thrones show canon, and House of the Dragon show canon. And I feel like they're three separate entities, because there is no, if you go into the books, there is no Night King. Like,
no, there is not.
There just isn't. So that's why I was thinking, if they wanted to make themselves part of Game of Thrones lore, they would have a picture of the Night King. And I think then with the visions that then follow with the red comet, the dragon eggs on the fire.
Yeah, that was very a Game of Thrones, the book.
Yeah. and then Daenerys birthing dragons and showing like essentially the prince that was promised prophecy to me, because essentially if there is only one show canon and it's House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones and they're the same, I get even more annoyed about the payoff, because I'm just like, well, what the fuck was the point of it then? If you're telling me that Daemon Targaryen went to Harrenhal, had all these visions, pledged himself to Rhaenyra based on these visions, and knows that the White Walkers are coming and we need a prince that was promised to save the world, blah, blah, blah. And then it's going to be Arya jumping out of the middle of nowhere, and Daenerys and Jon have literally nothing to do with it. And the dragons the dragonfire didn't even have an effect on the Night King.
I know.
So
we can't go down that road, Steph.
No, I know. But my point is, I think my point is not like what doesn't make it make sense, blah, 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 is I think that's why I'm pretty convinced that I think that they are separating themselves off from. I think they're still show canon, but I think they're like, this is House of the Dragon show canon. This is Game of Thrones.
I actually think they're going to try and explain or like excuse. We'll see. We'll see where it all lands. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
And that's the point. We have not got the power of prophecy, so we can't predict.
We do not. Yes. But the visions were fun. They were fun to see.
Yeah, they were very good. There was a big theme in this episode of you need to play your part. And the way that the prophecies and visions had were very odd. Is everything set out ahead of people? Because prophecy in A Song of Ice and Fire is often, the use of it is more, how do people react to prophecy? What do people do when there's a prophecy? This seems to be like, your path is set, you have to play your part.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Or is it that these things you have to play your part so that these things can come about? Is that what it is? These aren't very metaphorical. People,
I think
they're very literal.
Helena says it really well. Like, this stuff all happens anyway. The things that you do aren't going to change it. So it really does seem like the path is set.
Can Helena astral project?
That was why I wanted to talk about Helena's scene after this scene, because it really did seem like she literally just finished talking to Daemon and then turned and talked to Aemond.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I kind of think that these visions she has, I don't know. I mean, it definitely
has she been working with Alice?
In the books.
Is she and Alice connected somehow?
I don't think so.
So how was Helena in a vision that Alice wanted Daemon to have?
I think it's the Weirwood. So if anything, it's Bloodraven or whoever's in the trees that's connecting them.
To me, it confirms quite a lot that greenseers and Targaryen, like dragon dreams and green dreams, are linked. That they're perhaps not very separate.
More similar than we had thought.
More similar than we thought. And also, I believe there's a theory that's been going around for a while. I'm not entirely sure whose it is, but that it was actually the children of the forest who sent the dreams of the Song of Ice and Fire to Aegon the Conqueror, and possibly even I might extend it to Daenerys the Dreamer, because she's the one, they're sending a dream of like, get out of Valyria, come here, essentially escape from the doom.
I don't think it's the children, but I think it's similar magic coming from opposite sides.
I think the reason why potentially it's the children, and the reason why Aegon conquers when he does and goes to the place that he then immediately goes to. So the day he lands on Westeros is literally the day that Harren the Black finishes work on Harrenhal, and one of the first places he goes to is Harrenhal, and he ends the line.
Harren's line.
And I'm wondering, and it's not totally my theory, I've just embellished on it, is and I wish I could remember whose it was, so sorry if it's yours, that the children of the forest, or greenseers and magic people, have sent that vision to Aegon so that they can have help to get rid of the
White Walkers,
threat of the White Walkers, but also the fact that Harren did cut down weirwood forests, trees
Mm-hmm.
to build his castle, and the abomination that he has created, because that is the first place that Aegon lands, and that's the first, like, pretty much the first thing he does is go and essentially punish Harren for his folly, his errors in what he's done to the Riverlands, what he's done to the magic of the greenseers, of the children of the forest. So it's just, I'm not sure, do I totally buy into it? I'm not sure, but can I believe that it could possibly be? Yes, I can see that, if there is especially now we've seen Daemon, who is a Targaryen, having visions given to him from like greenseer kind of magic and the old gods. I think there is much more connection, I think, between the Targaryens and that than I think we've ever realized. And obviously Bloodraven, we've always assumed that it's just simply because of his Blackwood family line, but I wonder if the Targaryeniness is part
makes
of that
him even
too.
more desirable, like more
interesting.
Interesting.
I mean, also there's like confusion over First Men Valyrian people in some families, like some very old families that people assume are First Men, like House I just said Hightower.
That's what I was going to say though, because the Hightowers do have that
Valyrian coloring.
We just don't know.
But so do the Danes, and everyone's like, are they First Men? But they look quite Valyrian.
But nothing's confirmed. But the Hightowers have been there for a very long time, so it is one of those things that people sort of speculate over. It is. As you were speaking, I was wondering about that. Like, so is Helaena maybe more susceptible because something from the Hightower side is there? Because even in the modern story, we have the current Hightower, I can't remember his name right now, locked up there with his witch daughter. And
Leighton Hightower
and his daughter Mad something.
I'm forgetting which one is called.
But either way, it does sort of seem like maybe there's a little something more to this family, and so maybe Helaena has that from both sides. So it's interesting. My only thing with it is, wouldn't you think that if they're so connected and the werewoods are so important, that there would be a werewood on Dragonstone?
Is it confirmed that there isn't?
I mean, I feel like we would have seen it by now.
We haven't seen it in the show. But is it confirmed?
I do quibble, I do struggle with using show canon to confirm book canon.
Yeah, well, exactly.
But that said, Aegon's dream is strictly show canon at this point. It's not been book canonized. So we can roll with it for now. And maybe it's just the Dragonstone isn't a place where this type of stuff can grow easily.
Melisandre burns Dragonstone's weirwood tree.
Oh, all right then. Okay.
So I just Googled it now, but Melisandre burns it. So it does exist.
I love Melisandre, but but interesting then that they haven't utilized it, and maybe Daemon will go out next season and be like, this place is important, we need to come here. Maybe that will be a thing.
Maybe.
Because all of them are disconnected from it. I'm wearing my green dress because Helaena was the star of this episode for me.
Helaena rocked it.
Oh my god.
She just was amazing. I loved, speaking of her prophecies, she does tell Aemond, essentially, she's like, spoilers.
I know, I kind of hated this a little bit, that both of them know now. It's like, so what's the point?
Yeah.
And it also spoils it for viewers, right? Like, okay.
Like,
maybe they're going to try and build up, like, when these two people come together.
But also, will Aemond actually listen to her? Will he actually genuinely be like, I
think he will. I think he was genuinely afraid of what she said.
I don't know. I just think he was. I actually think he was just insulted, because essentially she was like, no one is going to remember you. You are going to die. And you will, because his ego is like, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I've got Vhagar, I'm indestructible. And she's like, no, you're not going to be king. Your brother is going to be king again, and no one's going to remember you. You're going to die, never be seen again, and no one will remember you.
No one will remember you. But it was interesting that she didn't say to him that she said that he'll die, he gets swallowed up by the God's Eye, which he might not even realize what that means.
No, exactly.
But she doesn't say Uncle Damon's gonna kill you or anything like that. Exactly. So she didn't totally spoil it for him. But I feel like, viewers, maybe not. We haven't heard God's Eye in the show before, I don't think. So maybe a lot
Not
of
sure.
non-book viewers won't be able to put it together anyway.
I found it really interesting that she says it in the past tense.
The end of it,
She
does,
says
like it's already happened.
she says you were swallowed in the god's eye and you were never seen again.
Yeah.
Like she's talking from the future. I just
She's already seen it. It already happened to her. All of this, I think, has already happened to her. And I love the theory someone had put out there that she's the one who's making the thing at the beginning. It's hers.
Oh,
she's
it's her. So she's. Oh my god, I love that.
In the first scene we see of her in season 2, she's stitching.
Oh my god. Also, they added there's a lot of dragons.
I was gonna say they added dragons. We didn't talk about a lot this season at all, the changing of the opening credits, but they did add the new dragons. Yeah, dragons. I just wanted to open up my little
buy one get one free
where they talk about Aemond and Helena. I said earlier this season that Aemond has been working to make everyone who made him feel powerless lose power. So Aegon, Alicent, etc. But for the first time since claiming Vhagar, he's feeling powerless again. You know, when he sees all the dragons, he's like, shit. And he doesn't like it. So now he's starting to lash out. He's becoming like really unhinged Aemond. Because I feel like season 1, it was like, okay, maybe he's not going to be that bad. In season 2, he walks the line, but he really takes it out on these people who have made him feel powerless. Aegon and the dragons. And
he's like also
but this is going to be his villain.
He's such a twat because he is just like, now we're going to search all the fishing. I mean, to be fair, this is one other thing that is ridiculous. That there's been a blockade, but very many royals and Kingsguard and everyone has managed to get through the blockade. Like it's not a very good blockade, is it?
It's not a very good blockade.
Even Alicent, after Aemond is like, we're going to search all the fishing boats, to the point where I don't give a shit if these people who are already starving starve a little bit more. And Alicent's like, I need to get out. And she manages to get through this most severe blockade. It is a plot hole that I'm a bit like.
But I don't find that a plot hole. I think that's the point, is that the elites can do whatever they want to. It's the small folk who suffer.
Yeah, maybe
that's the point.
Okay. I'll bite on that one. That's okay. I'll allow it. I mean, you have a point. It is always them. It is the small folk.
It's always the small folk who suffer. And that's again the major theme that Jorah brings up in a Game of Thrones. It's very major throughout this series here. Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Oy. Yeah, Aemond, man. Aemond. And speaking of small folk, Mysaria, I've jumped to location and a person, but she seems to suddenly be okay with killing small folk.
I know.
She seems to be like, yeah, I'm cool with that. And is that to show like she's fully bought into Rhaenyra to the point, you know, like is she just so in love or whatever that she now?
I don't think it's in love, but I think that she's so on board for the cause.
Speaking of the gods, there's a lot of like the gods have ordained you, the gods have given you this.
I know, she sort of reminded me of Mel in this episode. Just like that sort of council of like, yes, you are God's chosen, you are, you know, she reminded me of that Mel figure.
Yeah.
Should we jump to Dragonstone then, or I want to talk about Corlys and his kids for a moment. And we also have Cole and Gwaine. Which one do you want?
Cole and Gwaine had one of the best scenes
in the show.
And some of the writing on their scene
beautiful.
Was I wrote some of it down, some of the lines. I'm just gonna find it. So all men are corrupt and true honor is a mist that melts in the morning. I mean, that is, and then the dragons dance and men are like dust at their feet. That's such good writing. Like that is,
it's great. It's great. That scene in general. So that's the type of thing that I was talking about when I talk about it's not a battle that was missing for me. It was more of these really important character moments where it makes these people more than just, you know, you have Jace and Aemond both being super petulant teenagers in this scene, this episode. And it was like, okay, fine, like I can see why it's happening. These moments are like the meat of the episode.
Man meat.
My brain captions this episode cripples, bastards, and broken things.
Oh yeah. Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, because Cole is so broken.
He's so broken, but this scene is so good because both of these men are in love with this woman that they're fighting over, but in totally different ways for totally different reasons. And both of them, you know, have this respect and honor.
They're
and
in love
for her.
Wait, Gwaine is in love.
He loves his sister.
Oh, he's not. Okay, because you're like
not
in love with.
They love. Sorry, both of them love her for different reasons.
Okay.
And in different ways. Yeah, and I just think it's really. And I think even Gwaine was like, oh, this is shit. And then he's like, oh, obviously he actually loves her. And maybe she has feelings for him too. And maybe this isn't that bad. But it all reminded me of Jamie. Again, Cole often through this is Jamie. Like, you know, that so many oaths, they make you swear and swear. And he's really... Yeah.
And also the arrogance that he has at the beginning is Jamie's arrogance too.
Yeah, he's very... And I wonder if they're going to try and do a redemption arc before he dies, but in a very different way.
I think they already are. Sides. I don't think... No, he's not going to change... in essence, but I think they're certainly making us feel sympathy, which is so. I don't think it'll be redemption, but I think we will suddenly see. And I think one thing the show has done well is they have fleshed out characters that are in the book very two-dimensional, because Cole is a baddie, Alison's a baddie, and they even say it in this episode. History will paint you as a villain, and I thought that was a very...
I liked it too.
Nice way to kind of go, like, you are in the books, you are going to be a villain. Yeah. And
but you're more than this. I think my favorite thing that the show is capable of doing, where this particular book isn't, Thrones does it, but A Song of Ice and Fire does it, but even George maybe doesn't do this as well as he could do, as well as TV does, is when you see somebody through the eyes of someone who loves them. And you see, like I said in this scene, like you sort of see Allison and Cole's relationship in a really because a lot of people really struggled with it. I've always liked it, but a lot of people really struggled with it. But when you hear the way Cole talks about her, she's this beacon who saved my life. I mean, you can see that it is something, it's meaningful, it's beautiful to them. And I do like it. I do.
Although I do feel like that is he's got a Madonna whore thing with her though. Like seriously, like he's like she's a beacon.
Sharing my point, thank you.
No, I agree, and I actually don't mind their relationship at all, and I can see why. But I think that there's an unhealthiness, especially like the way she seemed to sum it up was, my husband died, I was lonely, I took a lover. What of it is what she says, and I think there's more to it than just that. I think she does have feelings for him.
Yeah, she does.
But
the fact that she told Rhaenyra that she has that relationship at all says that there's more
exactly.
To it.
So there's more to it. Yeah. But the way he talks about it makes me, if I was sitting there as his armchair therapist, which I am, not a qualified therapist, but if he was saying to me, she saved my life twice, literally, and we get an answer for essentially what probably did happen when he killed Joffrey Lonmouth, because he talks about the Headman's block.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of get a hint of like, she probably had to talk people out of killing him for it.
Punishing him.
I think if somebody, and he talks about her as a beacon of light, and he's going to follow her.
It's very high tower language. I like that.
I like the high tower language, but I feel like it's like if you put someone on a pedestal like that, that's not real. I think he's in love with an idea of this perfect woman, this perfect, the perfect maiden mother kind of Seven idea of what womanhood is. And
I don't disagree. Rhaenyra says it, you made virtue your banner. And so Alicent knows that that's how she portrayed herself, and I don't disagree that that's what Cole sees in her, but it doesn't really change the relationship necessarily for what it means to them.
No, but I
wonder if her virtue...
I feel like it's not a healthy place to be. If I don't think
for her, but she doesn't let anyone see her for her anyway.
No, that's true.
Anyway, I'm not saying it's a healthy relationship, but I'm saying that to them there is some beauty in it, and they both obviously got a lot out of that relationship.
They did, yeah.
So
yeah,
and they may never see each other again. Spoilers all.
I don't think that he's gonna see her again. No. but he does have her hanky that was in her boobies, so he sniffs it, which is a bit like, ugh. Ugh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah.
A bit sniffing her underpants. Like, that's gross.
That is what it reminds me of too.
Yeah. Do you think she did an extra like armpit? She just went, I'll give it back to me. When he saw her again, she was like, can I have it back?
Not under armpit. I think it was like under boob.
Under boob, was it? A bit of under boob sweat. And she's like, there we go. Have a sniff on that if you're feeling lonely.
Put it in her panties.
And put it in her coochie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. It's the content that people come for all the time, isn't it? Like, how nice.
It's like you know, I don't know if you ever did this, but like when you're dating,
I don't know where this is gonna go. Okay, yeah, right. When
you're dating someone new, and then you like, especially I think women do this, and then you take their t-shirt or their sweater or something like that, and like claim it as your own, partially because it smells like them, and partially just because it's comfy and it reminds you.
Just because it's comfy. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I've been married a long time. Usually stuff like that just sort of, I'm just like, whatever now.
Never in the beginning of the relationship though, because I definitely
I'm casting my mind back.
Yeah,
it's been like 15 years, so I'm not entirely sure. Can't remember. I probably did do it as a youngster.
My husband had a few hoodies that I stole, and then
obviously I stole his hoodies, but that's because they make their clothing way more comfortable than our clothing.
True,
and they have proper pockets.
But also for me, it was like, well, he's not here, I can wear this and think of him, and I have that.
Oh, that's very sweet. I don't know if I did that. I think I probably just thought of the giant hoodies that were comfortable. Very romantic, obviously. But I thought, no, back to the thing, I thought that scene with them was excellent. And
it's a contender for the best scene in the episode for me, that and Helena and Aemond. But I also really liked Corlys and Alan.
I thought Alan's speech to Corlys was great. I haven't got very much to say other than, we don't see a lot of bastards in, like, we obviously have Jon Snow in the show and in the books, but his bastard situation, Gendry doesn't know he's a bastard though.
He knows he's a bastard, he just doesn't know he's a royal bastard for a while.
That's true. But we don't get to see very much of what the reality of most bastards is, although actually in the book it is different.
Ramsay.
Edric Storm. Oh my god, it's not a great representation. But what's it like for most bastards who are unacknowledged?
Yeah,
a lot of these are acknowledged bastards. This is an unacknowledged bastard, although in the book is different. Like in the books, Alan and Adam's mum is like an amazing business owner who like they want for nothing at all. So the story that he tells isn't book accurate, but he puts Corlys in his place, and I thought he did a really good job.
We talked about how, and it was the last episode, Corlys walks in when Adam has claimed sea smoke, and he's like, well done, and how Corlys kind of like shuts up Adam, as you said, like no.
No.
But in this, several times Corlys is like, you've been dismissed, and Ellen's like, you are fucking listening to me right now, I have a lot to say.
I have a lot to say.
So I loved that. He was like, Corlys was trying to be firm, and Ellen was like, fuck that, fuck you. He said what he had to say.
Don't tell me to smile.
You could tell, exactly. But you could tell he had a lot on his chest that he had to say. Like, don't think you're coming here and giving me a fucking favor. I've never asked you for anything.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it. I swooned. It was beautiful. It was great. Yeah. Great. This is the stuff I wanted all season. I wanted this like really impactful, meaty conversations.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the dragon seeds?
Yeah, if we go just generally to Dragonstone, talk about the people who there. Jace is pouting. Baylor is put him in his place and said, "Stop pouting." He's like, "I'm not pouting." Pout. Whilst pouting, I'm not pouting. His complaint, if I had a minor complaint, I do think it is silly. Like, he has a point in a way, but not really, as Baylor points out, like, you're the named heir, and also she also says, like, I know that you're born the wrong side of the sheets or whatever it is. Wrong side, like, and how many?
You're the only person who was.
You're the only person. Also, it's like, he's complaining about something. If you think about it, Rhaenyra is like what, early 30s. And if there was not a war going on, how long would she reign for? Another 30 years, 40 years potentially.
Mm-hmm.
He would be older.
Unless she died in childbirth or something.
Unless she died in childbirth. Is she going to squeeze another one out? I'm not sure. But I'm just saying, she's got some time. This is a problem. But like way in the future, there is he is the named heir. Like, I'm just like, cool your tits.
He's just so sensitive about it, right? It's the Jon Snow, I'm a bastard. Like, you're so sensitive about being a bastard. He doesn't know how to wear that like armor, like Tyrion. He doesn't have the Tyrion lesson. And I think Bela is sort of trying to give him that Tyrion lesson of like, that doesn't, you're a highborn, acknowledged person. Yeah. None of this matters. The fact that your dad isn't your dad or your mom's husband isn't your dad doesn't really mean anything at all. But the entitlement is hard to watch. And I think that that's such a big part of it. Through, again, like Aemond and Jace, there's way too many similarities for me between the two of them in this. And that
really, Jace is not Aemond. I think
Jace is the petulant youth, right? Like, things aren't going my way. He's not going out and burning Sharp Point because things aren't going his way, but he's totally he's sort of trying too hard to be his mom's champion now. So he's like, yeah, it's hard. We gotta make hard decisions, but we've got to do this. We've got to go burn Old Town and Lannisport. That's just what has to be done.
The thing that it's quite hard because they're just not men or people of the people. They don't like his what's the word you just said? Entitlement shows forth, if that's a phrase, when he's talking to the dragonseers, especially when there's Hugh and Ulf. And we're supposed to not like Ulf. He's meant to be an arse. That whole dinner party scene reminds me of like family Christmases where like there's like Uncle what's name who gets drunk and is a bit racist and everyone's like, oh God, would you shut up? And he's, I think they did a really hilarious family, like let's say it was funny. Family.
But the thing about it that makes it slightly for me uncomfortably awkward but also funny is that a lot of what Ulf says, like, he's being demanding and mistreating the servants, but he's not really wrong. She's treating him like she needs him, and he's like, so then treat me like you need me.
I think so. I have many feelings. So I think from Rhaenyra's side, to me, she reminded me of Jon Snow's leadership. She kind of expects it because he's like, well, I'm Lord Commander, you have to do what I say, but he doesn't take people with him. In the books, I'm always like reading it going, John, just fucking lead. You need to give people a bit more. You can't expect loyalty if you're not, I don't know, inspiring and leading and doing that thing. It is kind of what Corlys is talking about. Like, we talked about it last
episode too. Like, she just expects these people who weren't even her subjects necessarily to follow her because she's given them the gift of the dragon.
She does like an awkward toast and stuff, and I'm like, you need to say something. There's no fostering of. She needs to create essentially a brotherhood between them, or a feeling of familial, like the Night's Watch have together. Like John joins them, and he's like, these are my brothers now. We're family. We do stuff together.
You're not doing this because you owe me. You're doing this because this makes us a family.
So they basically
start treating them like your equals.
Yeah, and that they're family because actually they are family. Yeah. They're just but Ulf was right. She was like, we need to have jokes. They need to lighten the mood and joke. They need to foster that feeling of we're together, let's laugh together. It's much harder to betray or turn cloak or quit, essentially, if you love the people that you're with, if you have love for them.
So
and
at the moment, for a second and listen to their connection, their stories about how they're related. You guys are all cousins. You're all grandchildren of Jaehaerys and Alicent.
I would, if it was me, I'd be like, so Ulf, like, tell me about your life. And I wonder,
Rhaenyra would be a great grandchild of them, right?
Something like that. I'm not sure.
She'd be their great grandchild, so they would have more of a connection to her then.
Yeah,
because Viserys was their grandchild. He was their son's son, their daughter's son. their
What are
son's
we
son.
talking about? You said Viserys is the daughter's son.
Viserys is who's Viserys' mom was
Alyssa and Balon.
So Balon.
And
so he's the
Sarah,
grandchild of Jaehaerys and Elisand.
Yeah, but so is
Rhaenyra would be the great grandchild of Jaehaerys and Elisand.
Hugh is
Hugh and Ulf are both the grandchildren of Viserys and Elisand. So technically their claims are higher than hers. That's fascinating. I hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah. Okay. My head has
my brain went down no,
it's good. I'd quite like to see a family tree of where they all would fit in, but I think it'd be really interesting. And maybe they cut scenes where they did that, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just showing like the Targaryens and all these people in their high castles are not used to speaking just with the ordinary people, the people they literally rule over, the lives that they affect with the laws that they enact. And they're not used to talking to them. And I think that's really sad. And it kind of shows the disinterest, like that Rhaenyra says in season 1, like, what does it matter what these people think? And it's like, well, it does matter. And you should be talking, you should say to Hugh, so your mum is my auntie? Are we cousins? I can't remember. Or my great aunt. Tell me about your life growing up with her. Where did you grow up? Like, they should be talking about that. She should be showing interest, and Jace should be showing interest. He shouldn't be just saying, I'll have your head.
But he doesn't want to, because
I know,
and I think it's a few reasons. Like I said, like if they actually put the stuff together and they deduce it all, they would realize that these two men might be higher in the line of succession than her. No, it doesn't change that all the lords swore oaths to her, etc.
Well, I think it's on Jace's mind definitely that there's potentially a succession problem if they try to claim it. That's definitely on his mind.
I think
I'm just talking about fostering loyalty. How do you take strangers who you then give power to? And she said, I'll make you knights of the realm, which is nice, but they don't know her. And you don't, as any person leading any group of people, any like the war generals and the war leaders, the people who follow you are the people who you don't just follow just because they're giving an order. They follow you because they love you, because you have created an environment where you feel almost like brotherly love or sisterly love towards that person. And it's still professional, but it's like, I will inspire you to follow my orders. I'm gonna be ordering you to do something terrible. I'm gonna be ordering you to potentially hurt some people, as they balked at, as Baylor said, do you want us to kill innocents? Like, and I'm not a bit like, well, if they're armies, then isn't that fair game?
What do you think what do you think your grandma had to do at Rook's Rest?
Yeah. So if I'm going to ask you to do something that's potentially terrible, potentially awful, you have to be willing to go with me, and it takes more than just an order. And she is going to ask them to do terrible things, and they are going to have to do terrible things. And so you could see the doubts on their face. Like, he was like, really? That sounds awful. And I'm rambling a bit, but I'm rambling a bit, but I just mean, like, I felt in this one scene, we kind of see that's not happening. She's not leading them.
She's not inspiring them. She's
not inspiring them. And Jace is if you also threatening them, which is
a knight of the realm. It's like, I'm sorry, but the second these men hopped on a dragon, they should have been knighted.
I know that
right?
Shit. And he was like, right, well, you better make me a knight then. It's like, why haven't you done that already?
Your dragon riders, and that's like the basis step. These are people who you're expecting to ride for you into war, and you have these the buttons to the nukes too. They need to be a lot more than just knights.
And
these
also,
people
you
should
keep
be granted
talking about
lordship.
Yes, exactly. And you keep talking about how the dragons are close to gods. So you're literally giving someone all this power, and not just power for the nuclear buttons, but the station of being a dragon rider, and what you're going to ask them to do. You should be saying, right, thank you, you're amazing, let's get to know each other, I'm going to bestow upon you all these things. You need to get loyalty, and you don't get that just by throwing an awkward dinner, making an awkward toast, and going, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice back.
I didn't like
it. And that's, before anyone says it's nothing to do with Rhaenyra being a woman. I think it is certain types of leadership and people who have that entitlement and don't realize that you have to do more than just simply tell people what to do.
Yeah, that's entitlement, and she's had it all the way through every season.
Yeah. They should make royal families and lords like to a Rumspringa where they have to go out and live amongst other people and get to know them, like basically like Aegon the Fifth does.
We'll finally see a not elitist Targaryen on TV soon.
I know, it's going to be amazing.
He is at first though, but then he comes around.
He does, because he spends time among ordinary people.
Yeah,
and then gets lambasted by the lords because they're like, you're taking our powers away. I really hate
but hierarchy. I think that's the point, is you can't win in this type of universe. You're not going, and in any, you're not going to please everybody. I had something I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to jump quickly, speaking of legacies and lineage and etc. And the fact that Aegon's cock burst like a sausage.
Oh my god, I know. I was like, right, that's my theory of it.
Yeah. I was like, well, he is not fathering Maelor. So are we not gonna? Do you think we won't get Maelor? I don't know
if we'll just not get Maelor. I'm concerned. Like, is she gonna? Maybe they're gonna substitute Jaehaera for Maelor, but Jaehaera marries Aegon, so that can't. Aegon the third. So that can't be right. So maybe they're just gonna skip Maelor.
They might, and if there was ever a character that I would be okay with them skipping, it's the short tragic life of Maelor Targaryen. Because it's
no doubt,
it's painful
and it's horrible.
It's horrible.
So
we don't need.
I'm okay with them.
We don't necessarily need to see that now, but I do kind of think that Maelor's story, or the horror of what Helena has to go through as a mother, could, like, the dragon dreams could be enough to make her twisted enough to jump anyway. But
well, the thing is, it's not necessarily clear that she jumps. There's a lot of theories that she's pushed. So
that's true.
So maybe Aemond pushes her, or
Aemond's not there when she falls.
No, he's not there. There's a Kingsguard that someone says maybe did it.
Maybe pushed her. I can't remember who. That's true.
It's someone working for Laris, I think, is the theory, or somebody like
Interesting.
that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't want Helena to die ever.
No.
Maybe it's a fake death. Maybe it's not her.
Maybe it's not really her. That's the one they can fake. I'm happy with that one.
Yeah, agreed. Should we talk about Alicent and Rhaenyra?
Yes, let's do that. Very quickly though, most important question in the whole lot: who has Otto?
I know. I wanted to get to sort of the flashes at the end. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it is an important question. Yeah,
it is an important question. But yeah, Rhaenyra and Alicent. Some people hated it. Some people.
I didn't hate it. It's a theme that's gone all the way through every season, so it happening wasn't a big surprise to me. I think a lot of people were like, there's always those memes of like, they did it last season with Viserys, like, oh, favorite child, other children, like the big picture, little picture thing, and them using Alicent and doing that and making Helena the big picture and the other one's the little pictures just makes me mad, because everyone's missing the point. Alicent is trying to not have Helena go through what she went through. She wants to get Helena out of the wheel.
Yeah, definitely. I think
when Helena said to her, I was happier before I was queen, Alicent went, me too.
Alicent was like, yes,
me too, girl.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm all right with Alicent's story arc. I'm happy that they've given her more than just being a villain. Like it's I think it's good to flesh people out like that, but then also point out that she will be painted as a villain. That's what happens. She's painted as a villain.
It's just, so I kept thinking, where does she go from here? She survives the dance.
She does, but not for very long, but yeah.
But we don't know.
She survives at the end, but she goes mad, doesn't she?
Well, we don't really know.
She does. She dies. She dies.
She doesn't die by the end of Fire and Blood. She's still alive.
She's dead in her room. She dies in her room. She dies in her bedroom. She takes to her room a lot more, and then she dies, I believe. I'm just looking it up.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes, I accept your cookies, bugger off. Further life. So Rhaenyra's son takes the throne, Aegon the Third. During the Hour of Wolf, Lord Cregan starts
she
people
died.
to men who would
She died in
arrest
the
her,
outbreak of
and
the
she
winter fever. There it is.
yeah, she died. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
she came to dislike the color green.
She did, and I liked that they put her in blue.
Yes,
like she was when she was younger. And I was like, are they doing that on purpose to make us think about that, or is she the character done it to make Rhaenyra think about her as younger, to kind of make her be like, think of us as friends the way we used to be, you know?
I think that camping trip was meant to, like I said, like wash away some of that.
But she wore green for every other part of that episode, apart from when she goes to see Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
she wears blue.
It's like the part to play versus her real self.
Yeah,
like she admits to Rhaenyra all these things about herself.
And I'm definitely fine with it actually coming from Alicent, because it always was a surprise to me when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing without bloodshed, like just flies in, like,
well, there's just there's just no one there to defend.
There's no one there. Yeah, well, exactly. But I'm a bit like, how did Rhaenyra know that Vhagar would be gone? It's kind of, that's never explained, and so I'm kind of happy. Like,
Vhagar's pretty big. Have had scouts. I think a lot of people probably saw her leave.
Probably, but I'm just saying, like, I'm okay with it being Alicent saying, let's end this without bloodshed. But obviously it ends up with bloodshed because Aegon's gone, and Rhaenyra will be like, you betrayed me. And will she necessarily believe that Alicent didn't know?
Do it. Yeah. I have trouble with it being Alicent because Alicent doesn't have any power at court anymore.
But she said Helaena will be the king's voice. She will be the voice of the crown.
That's true. So, but can she convince Helaena to lie to Aemon? So is this what Helaena will forgive her for? Like, can she convince Helaena to convince Aemon to leave?
Maybe.
Who knows? I don't know.
All
of that's a little bit for me. But I liked them seeing each other again. They'll see each other again in King's Landing. I don't know. I didn't have a lot to say about it beyond that, and just the sort of like how Alicent is finally coming to this place that Rhaenyra was from the beginning, but now it's almost like they're switching roles.
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra is just so far in now, she can't turn back. My question was, they talk about, obviously, Alicent's doing this to free Helaena, so that she's safe and everything's fine. She is willing to, quote unquote, willing to sacrifice Aegon. And I think in Alicent's mind, that was very like a son for son. It was very blood and cheese. You know, it was Rhaenyra's involvement in the choice, make a choice. Looping back to episode 1, a lot of this tied back to episode 1. But she didn't even mention Aemond in all of this.
Who?
None of them. Neither of them. You would think so. In episode 1, Rhaenyra's only words were, "I want Aemond Targaryen."
Oh yeah, that's true.
And in this, she brings up Aegon, who has to die because he took her crown, but nothing about the boy who has killed her son, who was like her only object of ire in season 1, main object of ire in season 1. So what do they expect to happen with Aemond then? Why wasn't that brought up? So that bugged me a lot.
Maybe they're assuming that with all of her dragons, she'll be able to just take him down herself. Like, he's got one dragon versus their.
But she says that she'll just make sure he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone, but maybe because the main claimant to Rhaenyra's throne was Aegon, so it's his head that she wants.
Yeah,
and then
he's the one who actually
personal vengeance,
her, right?
Yeah, and then personal vengeance will be on Aemond. But
Aemond is also ruling in Aegon's place right now. Like he actually has more been I can speak English. He has been more active in the war. He is the reason that Jace is dead. Not Jace. He's the reason that Luke is dead. He's the reason that Rhaenys is dead. I'm mixing up all the names today.
I think it's fair enough. I've had to type out for many notes. Rhaena, Rhaenyra, Baela, blah 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 blah. Aemond, Daemon,
Rhaena, Rhaenys, Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Rhaenyra.
It's really hard. Aemond and Daemon.
My brain also keeps picking Laenor instead of Adam. Like, my brain doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's hard.
Anyway, so my point is that yes, Aegon was the figurehead who wore the crown. But Aemond is the one causing the problems and killing people. And
I just reckon Rhaenyra is like, I'll just get him with my 7 dragons. That's fine. I'll chase him off with that.
Maybe. It just bugged me. It just bugged
me.
Season 1, I want Aemond Targaryen. Season 1, episode 1. And then episode 8 is like, who?
I've forgotten about him.
Yeah.
Don't know. I didn't fully get that impression, but I can see what you mean. With Rhaenyra, I did have one. My other point was Rhaenyra's, just to add to the confusion about the things. So
I didn't see Ty, so I'm curious to see.
I've written here, history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, which is a big George thing. He doesn't. He does show like the time comes around again, but it's not always the same. But it is a little different, or we learn stuff from it. And I think I'm wondering if this story is there and told to us because of its direct. I feel like it's got direct links to Dany, because we literally see her in the visions.
Yeah, so it definitely has direct links to Dany. Actually, the whole series starts with Daenerys,
exactly 170 years before Daenerys, which is why I'm like, this is another reason why I think it's going to be its own show canon away from Game of Thrones canon, because I think they're emphasizing that Daenerys is more important than just being stabbed and dying at the end. Like, doesn't make sense to me. But I also think it might foreshadow her journey to Westeros. I think she's going to arrive, and there will be another Aegon, who will be, as she feels, a pretender to her throne. And I don't know how it's going to play out. Like, again, it's not going to repeat exactly, but there will be a rhyming. When Rhaenyra was in Harrenhal with Daemon having that awesome conversation, which I enjoyed.
I liked that conversation. I hated that she flew to him, but anyway.
I don't mind that.
I hated it.
Like, fucking,
it was like,
get on your
no, he should have come crawling back to her. He's the one who fucked off. Anyway, to go down that road. You continue your thought.
Okay. I have very few thoughts about that, but I'm happy with your passion about it. But so I think Daenerys is going to arrive. There will be an Aegon also claiming her throne, what she feels as a pretender. Is he a Blackfire? Is he not a Blackfire? We don't know.
He's Blackfire.
But while Rhaenyra was in, he is a Blackfire, basically. He's Aegon, he's not Aegon. While she was in Harrenhal, I kept thinking, this is going to be, she reminded me, the way she was dressed, her hair reminded me so much of Daenerys. And I feel like it's going to be her raising armies, dealing with people who are meant to be loyal, meant to show fealty, and the many betrayals. She's going to have betrayals, we know that. And I think we will see a lot of that in Daenerys' story, and her ending, which I'm worried about, might actually be similar. So she might lose to another person, perhaps, but also not, because it is Rhaenyra's line that continues and not Aegon II's line. So Rhaenyra's children that continue.
Yeah, the legacy lives on.
Her legacy continues, not Aegon's. So I'm just wondering if we're being told this story, if this story is included, because George wouldn't just write it just for shits and giggles. I'm wondering if the emphasis on the importance of the Dance of Dragons is because there will be another Dance of Dragons, and it's going to be a Targaryen woman versus a fake Targaryen person, also called Aegon.
And then Targaryen. I mean, there's still Targaryen blood. Yeah,
there is still Targaryen blood, but it's Blackfire.
Yeah. They're still Targaryens, though. It's funny.
Yeah, they are
Targaryens. They're just bastard Targaryens.
They're just bastard Targaryens. So they are Targaryens. But I'm just saying, it's kind of like she has, and many people will say, well, he's a man, he has a better claim to you, blah 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 blah. I think the same themes are going to come out, and the same problems with Daenerys's return to Westeros and how that's going to play out with her dragons. Will she initially think of Aegon as good? Will he be a dragon rider? Will there be another Dance of Dragons? I don't honestly know. I haven't. I actually don't want to theorize too much about it, because I actually do want George to tell that story rather than us, because he knows what's going to happen. But my guess, my point is are we being told this story? Have we got it? Are we being told this is vitally important because a similar thing is like a very similar thing is going to happen very soon? That someone with dragons is going to come back to Westeros. There's going to be someone called Aegon also going for the throne. There's going to be battles. There's going to be war, and it's a woman versus a man, and I'm just wondering if that's going to play out in some way that it's, you know, I just want to open people's minds and get them thinking like, ooh, how might this impact Daenerys' story, and what ways is history going to rhyme for her when she lands in Westeros one day?
Yeah, we've talked all the way through this series about how it's rhymed. Jaime rhymes with Cole, and you know, Jon rhymes with Jace, and you know, so yeah, Daenerys rhyming with Rhaenyra, of course, because they're two women in their own right, trying
the
to
vision
be queens
ends
as well.
Yeah, and also the vision ends, so we see Daenerys
full circle,
but then it goes straight back to Rhaenyra sitting on the throne, and that's the final part of the vision. Is Daenerys has to happen. For Daenerys to happen, we need Rhaenyra on the throne, or we need Rhaenyra to, I don't know, because it isn't, she doesn't end up on the throne, not really.
But she does. Son. Well, it's again, it's the legacy, and
it's the legacy. It's
for Daenerys to exist.
Yeah,
Rhaenyra has to have a claim, but ultimately, like it's like Helena says, Aegon gets the throne back. We'll have to play our part, but Aegon gets the throne back. She says this,
but not the throne, a wooden throne, because he can't climb up the stairs to the Iron Throne.
But then after he dies, that's when they seat Daemon and Rhaenyra's child on the throne. So it's like, even if Rhaenyra died now, Daemon died now, and Aegon died now, it would still be the same outcome.
Potentially, if they play their parts. I don't know. It depends on how you interpret prophecy.
But I guess I'm just talking like literally, like if you look at who's left, if all of like, it doesn't take all that much for Aegon the third to get the throne, and then Viserys to get it after him, and then Daenerys to come along the line. Like they're all the players are already there, they're all in play. It's unless not like they're yet to be conceived,
or unless they all, like, if Aemond, you know, took Helena seriously, then maybe he'd be like, I'm not going to the God's Eye because you've told me I'm going to die there.
Yeah, but I don't even think he realized it.
Well, that's what I mean. So people's react. That's what I'm talking about. So in George's writing, it's all, how do people react to prophecy? Daemon has seen a prophecy and he's like, right.
But he's seen it himself. That. It's a lot easier to acknowledge a prophecy that you've seen with your own eyes.
True.
Yeah.
I am enjoying the ad of prophecy.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the final sequence?
Yeah.
I felt that was so, it was like, to me, very Winds of Winter. Not the book. I haven't read that yet. It's not finished. I don't know if you guys know, but it's not finished yet.
Oh, it's not.
But the episode Winds of Winter, end of season 6, Game of Thrones, when Daenerys is getting ready to sail to Westeros. It was
Jay said that. He said he felt the same.
Oh, really? That's cool. Yeah, it's the same. I was like, ooh, they're all getting ready. Yeah. The Lannisters are in the Riverlands.
The gullet on the morrow.
I know, the gullet on the morrow. Obviously, it's going to take a couple of days.
2 fucking years, actually.
To get there. Yeah, a couple of years, actually.
On the morrow.
Yeah. But I liked it. And then you got Otto.
I liked there's like just this big sequence of things, like Old Town marching. We see Tessarion briefly. I couldn't tell if he had a rider on his back.
I couldn't see if there was a rider on his back. I think maybe they hadn't cast anyone yet, so maybe they didn't.
But they could have just had like someone wearing
that's true.
blonde hair, whatever.
Yeah.
The Winter Wolves, I was very excited about that. And then they showed,
I loved the music. The music had all the themes.
Yeah.
So we had the Stark theme when they saw the Starks, and the Lannister theme when we saw the Lannisters, and I very much enjoyed that.
Jason Wanker Lannister is going to get smashed by these Winter Wolves.
Smashed in the face.
Yes. Yeah. And Damon's like packing up to leave, and Caraxes is like, fucking finally, bro. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Yes.
Dragon in the Veil looked like he was eating a person.
Don't know. I didn't see who was eating. I was just more like, if that is sheep stealer's meant to be massive. So
I know. So we have no confirmation at this point if that dragon's even going to be named Sheep Stealer.
I know.
So I have like allegedly sheep stealer, possibly.
Allegedly sheep
could
stealer,
be Grey
maybe.
Ghost, could be cannibal. Like there's 3 missing dragons right now.
Or they could be just totally changing, like
totally
retconning her thing.
Yeah.
And she's going to call it mourning herself.
Yeah.
And sheep stealer will come some other time, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe not.
because I'm mourning this dude that you're eating in front of me. Yes. So that could be. We'll see. We don't know what that will be.
Some people think that the Beesburys have Otto.
Yeah, Otto. Yes, I've seen the prevailing theories I've seen online mostly are the Beesburys or the Greyjoys, which I don't like.
Why would the Greyjoys have it? I don't
online.
understand that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Or it's Laris.
I don't know.
I
get to a point when I'm just like, I don't know.
So before I even looked online and I was processing the episode, I was like, Laris has Otto. Because to me, the person who is going to have Otto is the person with the most to gain by his absence.
Yeah. And also Aemond asked for Otto and he's like,
as he was belittling Laris.
Yes. So I'm like, Laris
That's
is like,
why I think
okay.
it's Laris. Yeah.
You can have Otto,
and he's shown his reach in season 1. This episode really didn't, or this season really, you didn't really see Laris reach at all.
I wanted more Laris this whole season. Actually, I wanted. More
you see his influence with Blood and Cheese, and how he captures Blood, and then Blood gives up cheese, and then the stuff with the hand when Aemon's speaking shit to him. So I think it has to be Laris. I think I'd be absolutely shocked if it's not. Because it just, to me, thematically is the thing that makes the most sense. The Beesburys would be fun. Yeah. But Laris or Otto didn't do anything to them. Cole did. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well.
My thought is it has to be Laris.
Is it confirmed that it's definitely confirmed there's only 4 seasons, right? Yeah.
Sí, señorita.
Oh, because we normally end with predictions.
We do.
So, I mean, battles.
Yeah. I think we have. I actually am more like, so we have to see. I said it this season. We have to see the gullet. Of course, we know that's coming. We have to see the collision with the Winter Wolves and the Lannisters, and then I think the fish feed. I've said it a lot this season.
I mean, we're gonna.
Who do you think is gonna be the first death of season 3? First named death.
Jason Lannister.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be very early on.
I think it'll just be like, yes, thank God. But then we'll end it, I think, with Jace falling, and it'll be heartbreaking.
Oh, so in the first episode?
Yeah. I think the first death we'll see is Jason, and then the last death we'll see is Jace. Or we'll see Jace go into the water and not come out or something.
Do you think that'll happen in episode 1?
Yeah, look at Blood and Cheese did.
True, but that's two big battles in one episode.
But I think they'll sort of intersperse. Do you remember the Battle of Meereen? In the show, it was like the Battle of Meereen and the Battle of the Bastards or something like that happening at the same time. And they interspersed each battle.
Battle of the Bastards was definitely not interspersed with anything because that was the most intense thing. I don't think I breathed.
Maybe it was
during watching Battle of the Bastards.
Maybe it was Hardhome. I don't know. There was 2. There was an episode where it was 2 battles interspersed with each other. One in Essos and one in Westeros. And they were. I need to rewatch the series, but I can't really bring myself to do it. But things like that are important.
It wasn't Hardhome either, because that also I didn't breathe.
But there was definitely one.
Was there even a battle in Meereen? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, we block out the seasons.
Okay. I don't remember that at all. Yeah, I don't know. I can't predict. And a part of me doesn't even want to. I just want them to tell me the story. Just tell me the story you want to tell me, and I will watch and have my feelings.
Yeah.
But I don't really have anything else to add, to be perfectly honest, other than my general enjoyment. What would you rate the season out of 10?
You don't want to know that.
Oh no, really?
I didn't like it. I didn't like most of this season. I struggled. I think I might give it a 4.
Wow. Wow,
I didn't like it very much. Again, like if more episodes were like this one and had the purpose and the meat and important conversations, I would rate it a lot higher.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, not having action isn't what brings the season down for me. It's not having these big connecting moments. And a lot of this season, I think we could easily forget ever happened and not be missing anything. And that's a problem for me when you're looking at a show of this caliber.
Interesting. I think what I want to do, I'm gonna watch it all together.
I watched episode 1 already.
Okay.
But I'm doing the live stream with Lady Gwen and Emily and Sanrixian on Saturday. That's been moved to Saturday. It's not public information yet, so hopefully I'm not spoiling. But anyway, it was supposed to be on Sunday and now it's Saturday. But she did a soft announcement on the Sandwich Scribbles about Sunday. But I'm lying. It was supposed to be Saturday, now it's being moved to Sunday. Anyway, so on Sunday when I record with them, and we're talking about a whole season, and I'm like, there's so much, again, like I said, because it didn't stand out for me, but I'm like, what am I missing? I'm gonna try and rewatch it all before then, and also listen to the chapters of the book where
interesting. It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Catch up some more. I've been listening to the books almost every day as we've been recording our stuff, and just to watch the show and just to see where things land and where I expect them to go, to try and stay on track. But I haven't been, like I said, I haven't been pleased. What would you rate it? I'm a 4. That's terrible.
Oh God!
On a scale of season 1 of Game of Thrones to season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Oh my God! I had a really funny chat with my kids in the car the other day because obviously they know what I do and they know what I talk about. Obviously they are not allowed to watch it, but they are aware of some things. I let Thor
watch this episode with me.
Oh really?
There's nothing big that happens.
That's true. Nothing... No, that's true.
And my biggest thing for her is I don't want her to see like sexual content more than anything. And
yeah, that's a good point. Or any like, because there's the violence isn't even on the level of Game of Thrones either.
Not overly, no.
But
I let her watch like Rook's Rest, like that.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I let my kids
younger.
Watch.
Yours are way
I know younger, but I mean, my eldest watched. I let him watch a bit where the bit where Daenerys burns the train.
Yeah.
The spoils of war, because I was just like, it's really cool because the dragon.
Well, we didn't talk about this episode title. You just reminded me. The Queen Who Ever Was.
I don't have any feelings about it. I'm like, fine, whatever. You know, they were obviously trying to play on words with the Queen Who Never Was, and I'm like, fine, go for it. It doesn't really mean anything.
Well, I think because a big theme in this episode is the queens, Alice and Helena.
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
Rhaenyra. But
still, I'm like, fine, that's the name of it. Cool. But the chat I was having with my kids in the car was, they were like, so tell us about like when it went bad, because they know how I feel about it. And I was like, it wasn't bad the whole time. And I said, my words were season 1 to 4. And I said, they were amazing. Just like tippity tip top, amazing. Yay feelings. And I said, and then season 5 was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then season 6, you're like, and then season 7 you go, not so sure about this. And then season 8 is why did you do this? So it was definitely not season 8.
You're nicer to me, nicer than me, because even for me in season 5 it was like
yeah, one does not simply sail through Valyria.
Yeah, it was 5. The Arya storyline in season 5 for me. I was like, why is she the Terminator all of a sudden? What's happening?
Arya's at Hogwarts for fighting, for being a ninja Hogwarts.
Weird. It was all weird.
But yeah, I don't know. I would rate it higher than 4. But like I said, I want to watch it all again and see how I feel when I've not got a week in between. So I can remember everything that's happened and see how I feel. But I'd give it like that finale, I'd say was an 8. I think it was pretty good.
The episode was great. If that episode
and there were a few good episodes. Rook's Rest was an excellent episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Red Dragon and the Gold. And episode 2, when Otto quit, was an absolute banger. I enjoyed that one. Even Blood and Cheese, I quite enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, episode 1 was great. Episode 2
I
was
think
great.
it's only a few weaker moments, so I'd probably give it like a 7 or something for at the moment. Maybe. And catch me up when I'm feeling worse about things. And it might be a 6 or a 5. And then maybe on a good day, I'll be like, no, an 8. So I'm probably not an 8.
My face.
But her face is like, okay, I'm frightened. I won't say 8. I'm sorry.
You know what? I'm happy that you're more positive about it than me. I think, you know, I don't want to be like, I don't want to come on and be like, oh, Debbie Downer.
I know, but I've definitely gone through, the last few weeks we've been recording this, I have definitely gone through many, many emotions. And sometimes I'm just a bit like, what the fuck was that? Like, what was that episode? And
it's not even that for me. It's just that nothing's really happening. So that's my biggest complaint.
Okay. Well, I'm going to watch it all the way through again, and then I will let you know my final full score.
Yeah. You'll hear mine probably more on the weekend for anyone.
Yes, I'm going to tune into that if I can.
Yeah.
Sunday night's harder for me because I've got to get up on Monday.
Yeah, you've got to be.
Because it'll be like 10 p.m. I think for me. Yeah. So I might have to watch it on catch up.
Yeah.
And then troll you guys with my comments.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
Cool. I've got nothing else to say. No. That's the season wrap up.
The season wrap up. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the season and you know, coming in and seeing my silly face every week. And I wanted to say thanks to Scad for jumping in.
Yeah, thank you, Scad. That was great.
In, when we needed someone to try and step into your shoes for a minute, so that was fun.
They're difficult shoes to fit on.
They are difficult.
Very silly shoes.
They're amazing shoes to fill.
They're silly shoes.
Anyway,
I want to show my direwolf. I've never shown anyone on screen. This is my direwolf.
Cute.
Thank you.
Very nice.
He has no name, so if anyone wants to name the direwolf,
you should name him Grey Ghost in honor of our missing dragon.
Indeed. Yeah. I also want to thank you, Beth, because it's been awesome to do this with you, and also want to thank all of our Patreons who've given us amazing questions.
Yes.
And it will be resuming normal service fairly soon. We're going to have a little bit of a break, and just to get our brains back into gear. And also I want to thank and also give a shout out to all the other amazing content producers, because it's hard. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and we don't even do half the stuff that some people do. They produce actual videos images, content, blah 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 blah. Yes, and they do amazingly. So there's a lot out there. There's some really, really brilliant, like Girls Gone Canon, History of Westeros, even Radio Westeros, or like Lady Gwyn is doing something on Direwolf City's done great stuff. Grey Area, Joe Magician. And even there's a new one who somebody sent me something of, but I haven't watched it yet.
Alt Shift X is another.
Alt Shift X. Who's the other guy? Something two for something. Can't remember. And I haven't seen any of it yet, but I've seen one and I really enjoyed that one too. So there's some really, really good stuff out there. So do check out. And Indie Geek, sorry, forgot about him.
I was going to say, I think they are too.
So go and check out the stuff out there. There's loads of great content, and people. And one more moment of being
grateful too. I wanted to thank all the new listeners who maybe found us along the way. And if you have a chance to check out the back catalog of the book stuff that we've been covering. Yeah,
we've been covering Fire and Blood.
Shout us out if you found us on YouTube and you're checking out our new stuff. Let us know. Tell us about it. What you think? And find us on Twitter. We're at Kiss Podcast on Twitter.
I kissed a girl and I liked it podcast.com or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Some sort of podcast, Twitter we should know our own Twitter handle.
We are at Kiss Podcast on Twitter. That's what
there we go.
Kiss by Fire, the podcast, by Kiss Podcast on Twitter. So if you're looking for us and want to let us know if you found us and you know what you think, and if you're checking out the back catalog and the things, let us know. We like to hear from you. We do. We like to engage on that. So that's all. That's it for me.
Cool.
Will we do this next year?
Well, not next 2 years. We've got 2 years to wait.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we'll see.
Maybe we will. We'll see.
Maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
Maybe we won't. Who knows? You may all be like, please don't do it. Your content is terrible.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's going to be like, Beth was so negative. We don't need to hear any more of that.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. They'll love it.
Lovely.
They'll love it. They love seeing your lovely face.
Yours.
But we'll see you guys. We'll be back in a few. It probably be. I imagine it's August now, so it'll be September, like autumn time when we're back with the. I'm going to drop our episode with Sanrixian. That will probably drop. Maybe not next week, just to space things out a bit, like the week after. Yeah, and then we will be recording again in the autumn.
Yeah,
just gonna have a little
hopefully
break
just
first.
before back to school for me, because it'll go a little while.
I don't know when that is for you.
It's like September 7th or something. So we have to do an early September recording, perhaps. We'll talk about it.
We'll see.
We'll figure it out. Okay.
But yeah, we'll have a bit of a break and see you guys very soon. There's going to be some really fun a really amazing dragon episode dropping in our main podcast feed. It's awesome. It's got Sanrixian in it, and it's all about.
And I don't even argue with her nearly as much as I argue with Joe Magician. It's already going to be a good episode.
But we like the arguments. People like it.
It's true. Some people like that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. We'll see you guys soon, and we hope you enjoyed the season as much as you could do, unless you're Beth.
Or tell me I'm wrong. Like at me and tell me what you really thought.
At her. Actually, genuinely at her.
Yeah. Find me.
Cool.
Find me on Twitter.
All right, people. Take care and have a lovely week, everybody. We'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.